This is a podcast about one woman's mission to help entrepreneurs and business owners write better business books. Each week, we tackle your writing excuses, because there are excuses too, and help you beat the blank page of doom so that you can write the book that'll grow your life and your business. Now here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. I'm Vicky Quinn Fraser, and this is my husband Joe.
Hello.
Hello. Why was that funny?
Because you put your posh telephone voice on when you started.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have a posh telephone.
Hello and welcome to the...
No, that's my posh radio presenter voice.
Well, okay.
It's my radio, because we're making radio. Sorry about that slurp. We're drinking tea.
We're drinking tea.
Because it is 10 o'clock on Sunday, the 14th of November, which is our 12th wedding anniversary.
Hooray!
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
And we've had a lovely morning so far. It started with tea in bed, and Joe gave me my gift, so we always give each other an anniversary gift based on like the traditional what's it's. And so this year was a choice between linen and pearls, and Joe knows that I try really hard to be vegan. I don't do very well, but I try. So he didn't want to get me any actual pearls, so he got me a Pearl Jam t-shirt, the Alive t-shirt, which I'm really delighted with.
Nice. And Vicky went the other way and got me a beautiful gecko linen shirt, which is very summery and in the middle of November. Yeah, possibly not the most worn thing for the next few months, but summery thing.
There are cheap flights to all over the world, and I'm like, let's just go somewhere hot for Christmas. Anyway, so we are off to a treehouse hideaway in a couple of hours. We're going to Wales. We're going to be in a totally off-grid treehouse. We're taking books and a jigsaw, because that's how I roll, and lots of food, and it's going to be fabulous.
It's a log burner in the treehouse, and it's really cozy and beautiful and just silent.
We just don't have to do anything, and because I'm like totally exhausted. I am devoid of all energy to do anything, and I'm just really looking forward to having a few days.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Books and peace.
Yes, it's going to be great. Speaking of books, what are you reading at the moment?
Well, I finished the first book in the Troy series by David Gemmell, so now I'm on to the second book, which is called Shield of Thunder. I'm only 10% into it.
You enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar kind of people. It's a bit weird in that book one finishes, I don't know, maybe like a year before book two starts. So book two starts with like a whole bunch of things have happened that you haven't read.
Okay.
Which is a bit jarring, I thought.
Okay.
And some of them sounded quite interesting. So it was like,
would I like to have heard about that?
That could have been like the second book.
Yeah.
So I quite like it. It's good stuff. And it's nice because it's all about Odysseus and Troy and all of that kind of stuff with a slightly different twist on it. It's good fun. It's good fun. It's nice.
Yeah, I think I remember reading it. So, and I am reading at the moment Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, which I had not heard of before. And then I can't even remember where, because I ordered it from our local bookshop, and I cannot remember why or who recommended it. But,
I mean, basically, if a book is published, Vicky will buy it.
Well, this is a very old book. This is because Zora Neale Hurston, is one of the, she was one of the first African-American novelists who was in any way successful. And her story is quite sad, actually, because I was reading it. But like, she is quoted by people like Toni Morrison as being like the forerunner of the, one of the great American novelists. And so I was just like, I'm going to read this book. And also the cover is beautiful of this particular edition, which helps. But it is so good. It is so good. And I really love it. And it's about a young woman. It's about a young woman's life I don't even know when it was set, but they do talk about aeroplanes. So it must be, maybe 1930s, maybe.
It must be 1900s.
Yeah, definitely 1900s. Definitely post-slavery. And so, but yeah, it's about... this young woman and her life and the men she meets and leaves and how it's just really, really great. And I love it as well because all of the dialogue is in like as if they were speaking it. So it's not written in standard English. It's written in the
Dialect.
accent. Yeah, the accent and dialect. And it's really good. And I've seen some reviews where it's like, oh, it makes it really difficult to read. And it's like, well, no, I don't think it does. What it does for me is it makes me read the characters in their voices, which I really like. And so, yes, it takes a little bit more time because you can't skim it as quickly because it's not as familiar. But I really like it because it means I'm reading it in this deep South accent, which I really like. So.
Nice.
But yeah, it's such a great book. I've not finished it yet. I'm about 2/3 of the way through, and I'm really loving it. And I'm also reading Play by Stuart Brown still, which I love. And the last thing I read yesterday before I put it down was when we stop playing, we start dying. And I was like, yes. Because it's true.
Okay.
Because that's when you become really fixed and you don't seek out new stuff anymore and you don't...
Imagine things.
You don't imagine things and you just like exist day by day and you don't want to do anything new. And I just can't imagine anything more sad than that. And then I put it down because I needed to have my notebook so that I could make notes on the next bit because the next bit starts off with the idea that storytelling is the way that we learn. And you know that I'm a big... I'm always banging on about that. Storytelling is the most important thing. And not just in books either. And this is something we're going to talk about in a future episode. But there's this idea that books are the only way to read and tell stories. And that's just so not true because there's a strong oral tradition all around the world still. And it's really elitist to be like, oh, books are the best and books are the best way to be. And it's like, actually, there's loads of other ways to tell stories. And, I listen to loads of podcasts that are storytelling podcasts. And yes, you can get the transcripts, but first and foremost, it's an audio experience. And so I can't remember where I was going with that, but anyway.
It's not all about the books.
No, it's not all about the books, yes. So what have we been up to this week at the Dingle, Joe?
Well...
Noggins.
Noggins, we put noggins in.
Do you want to explain what noggins are so I can drink my tea?
So you've got your floor joists that go from probably one end of your room to the other or one side of your room to the other. And...
That's what the floor sits on.
That's what the floor sits on. And if you overload a floor joist, it doesn't snap in the middle and bend in half or anything. What it does is it'll start to twist and the top edge that your floorboards are on will sort of move sideways and the whole thing will twist and bend. So noggins are bits of timber, probably made out of the same stuff as your floor joists.
They were leftover floor joists
for us. They were leftover floor joists for us. And you cut them to length and you slot them between the floor joists and then you screw them in. And it just stops individual floor joists twisting.
Yeah, and massively strengthens the floor.
Stiffens up the whole floor.
Yeah, so that was exciting. So that means that our floor structure, we've finished our floor structure now, it's complete.
Yeah.
So we're ready to put the subfloor down and then lay our beautiful engineered oak floorboards, but we've got to do plumbing and electrics and stuff first.
Yeah.
And then next also is going to be the wood wool plasterboards to make the ceiling underneath the floor and all of the walls in the bathroom and the ceiling in the bathroom as well. Yeah. So we need to get that sorted next week.
Yeah, and I'm struggling to source the wood wool boards because
they're really expensive.
We know where we can get them and we know who will deliver them, but they just seem outrageously expensive. So we're kind of I'm casting around trying to find alternatives to paying quite that much money for them.
To be honest, at this point, how much they are is a tiny, tiny drop in the ocean of how much money we've spent on this damn house. But still, we've got to the point where it's like, no, it's too much.
It's like, wait a minute, that's ridiculous.
Instead of worrying about the overall giant cost of the house, we're picking this one thing and being like, no. So yeah, anyway, that's what we'll be doing next week.
So next up, we'll probably be putting a ceiling into what will be the library, which is underneath the bathroom.
Oh my gosh, the library is going to be so beautiful.
And that will give us a lot of thermal help at the moment, because at the moment we light a fire in the front room and all the heat just
disappears,
buggers off into the roof space. So yeah, a ceiling would be nice.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. Anyway, this week, speaking about writing, which we weren't.
Are we?
No, libraries we were speaking about, libraries which is kind of tenuously, reading.
Tenuously linked to books and that.
Yeah, this week I wanted to talk a bit about writing in community.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's this. I think when people think about writing, what do you picture when you think of a writer?
You imagine people in lonely garrets, in misery on their own, eating thin soup and
torturing words out,
begging publishers to help them.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of, it might be a bit extreme, but I think that is a popular kind of image of this like lone writer shut away, hammering away at a typewriter or a keyboard or whatever.
I guess at the point where there's success, then you've got, little woodland lodges and
Yeah.
a lake to look at whilst you type away.
Trying to think of there is a writer whose name, I'm terrible with names, I just forget them all the time, but there was a famous writer who you will mostly all know.
Stephen King?
No, way before him. But he used to go away for weeks at a time to his lakeside lodge, and it was just basically a shed by the lake, and he used to go and write. Anyway, but there is that kind of idea that is how writers do their thing. They bash away at a keyboard, they're tortured and suffering and alone and in self-inflicted solitude. And, that's one way to do it. And, sometimes writing is a solitary thing. Like, I do most of my writing on my own. Mm-hmm. But part of the reason that I started my master's degree was so that I can become a better writer. And it's not just from the stuff that I'm learning, it's because we have to post our stuff and then comment on each other's stuff. Right. And that's really it's really the only way to become a better writer. And like,
to get feedback on your writing.
Yeah, and I will literally fight anyone who says, otherwise. It's like you can practice and you can do stuff and you can go and read widely and learn and have stories, and we'll talk about all that because that's all really important stuff to do. But ultimately, if you want to become a better writer, you need to put it out there and get people feeding back on it, because they will give you ideas for how to make it better. They will tell you what works, what doesn't work, and
what feels clumsy, what made them stumble.
Yeah, because there's this idea that we talk about the old cliche of like no man being an island, and it's really true. There is no such thing as rugged individualism. You cannot exist on your own as a human. We are not designed to do so. We will wither and die, and you can extrapolate that out into all sorts of other stuff as well, like engineering problems. And like, one person didn't put us in space, and it's the same for like art that we create as well. It's like, okay, I might write the final book, a painter might paint the final picture, but to imagine that they were the only people involved, even peripherally, is ludicrous.
Sure.
Because we have to get input from elsewhere. Does that make sense? Yeah. So and so that is kind of what I wanted to talk about today. But I wanted to talk about the different ways that you can kind of write in community, so people can have a little bit of a think about it and get some ideas of how they might want to go about writing not alone.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's like collaborations and stuff like that. So collaborations can be really good fun. And I kind of did that with my audiobook, That's What She Said.
So define me a collaboration.
So a collaboration might be, when you see like several authors named on a book, or an anthology, like a collection of people's different stuff put together. Like I'm also reading a book at the moment called Telling True Stories, and that is an anthology of essays by many different writers. Okay. But there's also like Good Omens is a really good example of a collaboration. Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. They wrote that book together, both of them. So that's an example of a collaboration. You can do what I did with That's What She Said, which is I mostly wrote the book myself, but I went out and interviewed lots of different women in business and brought their stories into it, and then got them to read their parts as well. So for me, that's a collaboration, and that was really good fun. It was a really great experience. I would love to do a proper anthology one day as well, and kind of just gather people's stories together. That would be really cool. So that's one way to write in community. It's not for everybody. Like, I don't know if I could sit and write a book with somebody.
Yeah, how does that actually work?
I don't know. I've never done it.
I mean, do you take turns picking the word?
No, it's actually I should find a link to an article that I read a long time ago about, I think it was by Neil Gaiman and or Terry Pratchett, and they talked about how they wrote the book together. Okay. But everybody's processes will be different. I know some people...
one person might write the chapter and another person might critique and edit it.
Yeah, and they might have a chapter each. And I think that's what Write, Publish, Repeat guys did. So the three of them wrote that book, mostly two of them with another one as well. Johnny B. Truant, and then I can't remember the name of the other two guys, sorry. But that book, Write, Publish, Repeat, is really good. But they wrote that together, and they collaboratively write all of their fiction novels as well. Okay. And I think I remember them talking in the book about how they'll pick a part of the book each, and they'll kind of map it out together. Mm-hmm. And then they'll pick parts of the book each and kind of send it to each other and change it and write it in that way. So that's one way to do it as well.
So the shitty first draft is probably by somebody.
Yeah.
Everything else is edited and put together collaboratively.
Yeah, I think so. And, there are many ways to do it as well. So, and having never done it myself, I'm not going to sit here and say this is how it's done, because I don't know. But it's not just collaborations. It's not just actually writing the thing with other people. There's also just, getting a group of people, because when we write in groups, we do become better writers. Like I said, when we get outside feedback, we improve and we write better books. And a really good example of that is the Inklings. Have you heard of the Inklings?
Nope.
So the Inklings was C.S. Lewis and JRR Tolkien and a bunch of other prominent writers at the time. And they used to get together and drink beer, as far as I can tell. It all started with morning beer.
Okay.
And I'm going to put a link in the show notes to the article on the C.S. Lewis website that I was reading where I learned about this. It's an article by Diane Glyer, and it's on C.S. Lewis's website, and the link is in the show notes. But it all started with morning beers, because C.S. Lewis used to write a lot of letters to people, and we've got a lot of them as kind of, sources. And he wrote in one of his letters, "It has also become the custom for Tolkien to drop in on me of a Monday morning for a glass." Of beer, he meant. "This is one of the pleasantest spots in the week. Sometimes we talk English school politics. Sometimes we criticise one another's poems. Other days we drift into theology or the state of the nation. Rarely we fly no higher than bawdy and puns." So they just used to get together and talk about stuff, which I think is something that has become lost in like the modern age of everything online and social media and endless. And they didn't have films and stuff back then. They didn't have movies. They had books and they had conversation. And
now we have doing stuff and entertainment.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, why Sunday evenings are one of my favourite nights of the week. Because Sunday afternoons and evenings are when a bunch of our friends get together, or we'll pick somebody's house and we play Dungeons and Dragons. But we don't just play Dungeons and Dragons, we have a meal together and we talk about things, and it's kind of similar to that, because we talk about everything.
Yeah.
Like we talk about all sorts of stuff. And it's just delightful. There's no messing around on social media. There's no films, there's no outside. It's just like we'll play some mood music to adventure to, and then we will make up ridiculous stories and play a game. And it's just one of my favourite times of the week. So anyway, C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien and a bunch of other people did this as well. And that kind of morning beer, the idea of morning beer.
I like the idea of morning beer.
So that morning beer between Lewis and Tolkien kind of extended into this group of men whose, I haven't got all of their names written down here, but they talk about it in the article, so you can have a look. But they would gather and make tea. I think this was an evening thing. So beer in the morning, tea in the evening. It's the opposite way around to what I would do it, but fine. And they would begin pulling out drafts of their work. And so as one person would read their work, the others would sit down to listen, encourage, critique, correct, to interrupt and argue and advise. They would continue this way, reading aloud, energetically critiquing until 2 or 3 in the morning. And so that is, and there are writers groups that do similar things now. You can go and write with people in cafes and things. That sounds both terrifying and amazing. It sounds like an amazing thing, because if you've got a group of people, and it has to be a group of people you trust as well, because I have been part of groups where there is no way that I would read my stuff out loud, because it's not a safe place to do so, because not everybody knows how to critique. Not everybody knows how to give feedback. But then I've been in other groups where I would be super comfortable to do that, because it's all going to be, it's going to come back with kindness.
Yeah, it's productive. It's not vicious.
Yeah, and I don't even think in some groups, I don't think people necessarily mean to be vicious about it, but you have to know what's useful feedback and what isn't useful feedback, and just being like, ugh, I hate that. It's really not helpful and also mean. So yeah, if you can find a group of people that you really trust to bounce ideas off and to read your stuff out to, then that is the most valuable thing in the world, I would say. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I've tried to create in my Weird and Wonderful Book Society, actually, is that safe space for people to read, like share their stuff with the group and then get thoughts back
useful
on
feedback.
It. And it worked so well in the first round. It worked so well, and I was so delighted, because you never really know how it's going to work when you put a group of people together. And it just was amazing. And like, those books are better for that group, like interaction. So, but anyway, so that sounds awesome, and it is it's also one of the reasons why I started doing my masters, because I wanted to be able to get that kind of feedback off people. And one day I would love to host a regular writers group like this, like that meets kind of once a week or something.
Drinking beer in the mornings.
I don't drink, but maybe something. Drinking tea. So yeah, there are many ways to write in community. You could join a writing group in person. Hopefully we'll still be able to keep doing that for the foreseeable. Maybe it meets in a bookshop or a coffee shop or a pub. Like, I don't know if you've heard of the Skeptics in the Pub group.
No.
So the Skeptics in the Pub is where people come together and talk about quackery and general bullshit, kind of yell at anti-vaxxers and that kind of thing. But they meet in the pub. It's called Skeptics in the Pub. But they talk about all sorts of things. Like, they will talk about stories like of alien abductions and like anything vaguely woo. They will come and discuss it. And it won't just be like, oh, this is bullshit. They will talk about it and kind of look at it from all angles. And it's a really interesting group. And so that kind of group for writers, I think, would be really, really cool. So yeah, you could do that. You could join a real group person, a real life group in person. You could join an online writers community. I have one of those. It's called Team Moxie. We meet every day for live writing sessions, and it's really cool and it's very affordable. It's £50 a month. You could go on a writing retreat.
You could.
Which is one of the things that that was what I was going to do in 2020.
You've done a few of them, haven't you? You've done a few.
I've done Breaking Bread. That's not a writing retreat.
No, but you went.
I went to Lanzarote. Yeah, we did one, and that was like a little trial for I wonder how this will work, and it worked brilliantly. And that was right at the end of 2019. And I was like, great.
Let's do more of this.
I'm going to do 2 of these in 2020. And then, of course, I didn't, because fucking COVID. So, but I was going to go away, we would go away for a week somewhere beautiful, preferably hot, just in a very small group, maybe 6 to 8 people max. And there would be group writing sessions. There would be teaching and creativity sessions. There would be free time to write alone or free time for fun and exploration. We would eat together. It would be amazing. Nobody would have to worry about food or drink or doing anything else. You're just there to write and get feedback and share your stuff and, make it better. And that didn't happen for obvious reasons. So instead I started Team Moxie in July 2020 and the daily writing sessions and the power hours. And that's been amazing. It's been amazing for me. It's been amazing for the writers, and just the power of showing up to a room full of people and saying, I am going to work on this thing, and then working on the thing, and then saying, I have done this thing, and everyone going, yay! And being able to ask questions is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's like magic. So that is the community that I have formed, which you would be most welcome to join. I would love to have you. Or you could create your own writing community, or even just find a writing buddy.
Just an accountability friend.
Yeah, someone to bounce ideas off and hold you accountable. That's really cool as well. Because in her article on the C.S. Lewis website, Diane Glyer said that the Inklings generated enormous creative energy. And that's what I was talking about earlier with that, no person is an island thing, is, we can create great stuff by ourselves and have ideas, but the best writing and ideas comes from other people and doing stuff and going outside of yourself. Because otherwise, where's it going to come from?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the same in engineering?
Yes, the most creative and the best times are when you stand in front of a massive whiteboard and everybody gets a pen and you talk about the problem. You're like, you draw a picture, here's the thing, I can't get to this thing because that's in the way, and everyone goes, ooh, and then they all start drawing different things. And you get to a solution that might make sense, and then the design guy goes and designs it.
And I guess you get lots of stupid ideas along the way as well.
Oh, yeah, you get absolute nonsense.
That's good, because the stupid ones lead to the good ones, right?
Yeah, quite often the best comment is made by somebody saying, "Why on earth are you trying to do it like this?
Yeah.
Why don't we do something completely different?"
Yeah, and that comment, that simple little why are you trying to do it like that, has been a game changer for me so many times in my life and business, because it's just like, oh, I don't know.
This is the way I first thought of, and now I'm, digging away down this hole trying to get to the bottom.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you don't have to do that.
And that is the power of people, like a group of people is, and you don't have to do it like that all the time. There is a lot of value to be had in writing on your own and kind of getting your thoughts straight and all the rest of it. But at some point, I really believe that you need to get it out there and put it in front of other people and be like, when you're stuck is a really obvious, I don't know how to solve this problem. I don't know how to take this point further. I don't know how to,
Yeah.
But also just for like, okay, I finished my first draft and now I want to make it better. And, putting it in front of people and getting them to pick it apart and look at it from all angles is really, really valuable, which, by the way, is something that I do in my coaching. That's why you get a writing coach to come and help you do this stuff, because you're way too close to it when you've written your thing. When I've written a book or an article, like, I will either think it's a bag of shit, or I will think, oh yeah, this is great. And it's really difficult to see outside of those two things.
See the nuance. See the detail.
So I really need somebody to look at it and say, say, this needs to come out. And sometimes that's really painful because it's a piece of writing that I really like.
I spent a week writing that.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to get rid of it. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't fit here. And it's also not very good. Because sometimes the stuff we love is not very good. So yes, I'm really a massive fan of finding a group of people that you can write with or around or whatever. I think it's the number one. It's like, when you're learning a language and they say the fastest way to learn a language is to go and live in the country and like put yourself there and force yourself.
It's the same deal. You're writing a book, writing whatever it is you're writing on your own.
Yeah. It's the
Immerse yourself in people who are writing as well.
It's the fastest way to get better. You could spend 20 years writing on your own and gradually getting better, or you can be brave enough to shove your stuff in front of a group of people and say, help me make this better, and then learn from it. And it's just so much quicker. So, yeah. Anyway, you could make your own writing group. You could join one, or you could join a short-term writing group specifically to get your book written, like my Weird and Wonderful Book Society.
Segue!
Which is my 3-month non-fiction book writing program that combines teaching, mentoring, and coaching from me, group accountability from the group, co-writing sessions, so we meet once a week to actually write in community, live group calls where you can share your stuff, ask questions, get feedback on what you are writing, get feedback on your ideas.
Beer is optional.
I ran this for the first time this summer and it was a thundering success. I can't even tell you how delighted I am with how well it went. And the books that are coming out of it are just amazing. And I wanted it to be a group that would write books that aren't necessarily your usual type of non-fiction book. And they really are. They really are going to be amazing and I'm really excited about it.
That's cool.
I'm running it again starting the first week of December, and I would love to work alongside 10 new writers to get their books done. That would be amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, and there will be no more than 10 people in the program because I want it to be small. I want it to be enough time for everybody.
It needs to be tight and close and a little bit, So it'd be private and small and intimate and safe.
And there are 3 people coming back to round 2 from round 1. So actually there are only 7 places. Okay. 3 have already gone. So that's, it's going to be 3 people who will help be able to show you the ropes a little bit. And I hope that's a testament to how good it was that 3 people are coming back.
Yeah. Cool.
Not because they didn't get enough done, but because, you're not always going to get the whole thing done. 2 people got their first draft pretty much done. The other 3, for various reasons, have got various ways through. But I think 30 to 40,000 words is very doable in this 3 months. So it's either a short book completely done or really good headway into a longer book. And that's what these 3 who are coming back are writing longer books and they've made really good headway into it. So they're coming back. I'm very excited. So if you would like to join us, you can go to moxiebooks.co.uk/weird and wonderful or email me, vicky@moxiebooks.co.uk to find out more.
Nice.
What's the takeaway, Joe?
Find a community. Find a community that will help you write. Join the Weird and Wonderful Book Society. Join the Power Hours.
Yeah.
Find people who can help you achieve your goals.
Yes, and I would love to help you achieve your goals. I get so excited about people's books. I get way more excited about other people's books than mine. Thus evidenced by the length of time it's been since I last wrote a book. So, coming up next week, how to read like a writer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have loads to say on that topic.
Oh, you don't have to come. I hope you have enjoyed this week's podcast. Like I said, if you want to join us, moxiebooks.co.uk, weird and wonderful. If you've listened to every episode, email me with your postal address and I will send you a little gift. And if you like this podcast, what do they do?
They write a review, they subscribe, they rate us 5 stars.
5 stars, or however many stars you think it deserves. But if you don't think it deserves 5 stars, other podcasts are available.
The door's over there.
Just kidding. I mean, we might occasionally make a 4-star episode.
Do you think?
I think most of them are. And all of the links are in the show notes, including the link to that article that I've talked about a lot.
Cool.
On C.S. Lewis. So thank you, as always, Podfly, for beautifully producing this podcast for us. Thank you to Harriet for doing all of the other gubbins and generally keeping my life on track. Thank you to you, dear listener, for listening in with us every week. It's a real privilege to be able to ramble at you on a weekly basis, because there are many other things that you could be doing with your time. And I hope, get in touch. If you've got a question, get in touch. Oh, and this is an exciting thing. I've got a new website being built at the moment. Very excited about it. And one of the features on the podcast page will be that you will be able to record a message for us.
Ooh.
To play on the podcast. So if you have a question, you'll be able to record it and ask us. But for now, email it to us.
Cool. All right.
Take care.
Bye. Thanks for listening. You can find links and show notes on the website at moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast, where you can also sign up for the best daily emails in the multiverse and find loads of free resources to help you write your book. We'll be back the same time next week with more tales from the book writing trenches and the latest on what the tiny sheeps have been up to.